Good morning. So my name is Miss Katie. We're here at the King's Art Center and we are going to do an art lesson geared for 4th through 6th grade. For our lesson, we're going to be doing a watercolor painting of a parrot. So parrots are beautiful, colorful birds, and so they're a great opportunity to learn about contrasting colors. So contrasting colors is when you put two very different colors next to each other, and it makes your art really stand out. In color wheels, we have two groups. We have warm colors, and we have cool colors. Cool colors are colors like blue, and green, and some purples. Warm colors are red, orange, and yellow. So if you have those two groups and you put them together, you'll have contrasting colors. So with our parrots, in your lesson, you have a couple pictures attached to the plan. We've got two different ones. So you're welcome to choose either one you want, and we'll go ahead and start drawing it. I'm gonna go with the blue and yellow one. So, a great opportunity to practice our drawing skills by just looking at this parrot and getting that shape onto our watercolor paper. I've got just regular watercolor paper, a pencil, an eraser, because I'll probably need it, some water, paintbrushes, watercolors, paper towel. Okay, so let's start drawing our parrot. I've got my paper vertical. This is going to help me fit my parrot in better, because as you can tell, he goes up and down mostly. He's not really going side to side. So when drawing my parrot, I want to make him pretty big. I'm going to have him fill most of the page. First step is to think about what shapes my parrot is made out of. For his head, it's kind of a circle, and his body is just a simple oval. So I'm going to start with those shapes. I'm drawing really lightly in pencil, and these are just my outlines, so I'll be erasing later on. Now that I've got my shapes put together, I can add things like his feathers, his beak, and that stick that he's sitting on. Okay. So his beak is on this side, and it's kind of a triangle shape. So when drawing your parrot, make sure and reference your photo a lot. That's your best help. That's your best tool. And we'll take about 5 or 10 minutes to get as many details as we want on our parrot. And then we'll meet back in just a second. All right, so I started with my circle and oval shape, and all I've done is add his triangular beak, some jagged lines on the sides for his feathers, and I added a little more detail on this wing, this big blue wing that covers up most of his side. So I have all these extra lines from sketching it out, and that's how I'm going to use my eraser. I'm going to erase most of these lines so that I have a very simple outline. Parrot's got lots of cool changes in color on his face, so I'm just giving a simple outline for where those changes of color are. A couple U shapes for texture on the chest, and a couple more on his shoulder. All right, so now we've got our parrot drawing. We are going to outline this in black Sharpie because Sharpie is a permanent marker and will not bleed when we go to paint it with watercolor. All right, so I've got my parrot outlined, and I'm going to erase my pencil lines. So learning about contrasting colors is great with our parrot because we can choose to paint our parrot either warm or cool colors, and then we'll do the background the opposite of that. So since my parrot is mostly blue, that's going to be the cool colored thing in the painting. And then my background can be any combination of red, yellow, or orange. So I will start painting my parrot with watercolors. I'm going to use a bigger brush for this because my parrot is covering most of the page. Using watercolors, I want to make sure my brush is nice and wet by dipping it in the water before I get any paint. So you can either paint straight on the parrot, or you can use the wet on wet method, which is where you paint whatever section you want to start with just water first. Yeah, good point. So with watercolors, I can choose how bright or dark I want my colors, just based on how much water I add. So the more water I use, the more the color will spread out and it'll be lighter. And then for darker areas, just mix your brush and the paint a little longer and add less water. I'm going to make his claws a light gray, kind of a bluish gray. So I'm just going to mix a little blue and a little black and use extra water. Alright, so now that I've done the blue part, the body is yellow. That is a very different color and I don't want it to bleed together too much. So I'm going to let the wings dry for a second. While I let them dry, I can work on the face. This particular parrot has lots of white on his face with some black lines, a black beak, and even a little section of black feathers. This black actually has a little bit of blue in it though, so I will be adding some blue to my black areas. You can even use your Sharpie to go in with those little black details around the eye if you want more control. The chest of the parrot with a bright yellow-orange. And that can be really loose. You can get lots of water on that area. But remember that if you touch the blue part with your wet brush, your yellow feathers will be a little green. Yeah, so you can leave a little white space between those two parts. You can also add some orange to make your yellow a little brighter, a little deeper. And then notice how those yellow feathers fade into the white part. So since the white part doesn't have any paint on it, I'll just blend it carefully with very little water. All right, so we've got our parrot all the way painted. Now it's time to go for the background. Now we're talking about warm and cool colors. Since most of my parrot's blue, my background can be a warm color to contrast the bird. So I think I'm gonna go with red and orange on that. We'll use our big brush and we can have fun blending these colors together because the background isn't anything specific. It's not trees, it's not flowers, although you could add that if you want. It's just a really cool blend of colors. With the color, go back in with less water and more paint to add brighter sections. You can kind of blend these together as you want. Purple is technically a cool color, but if you mix it with red, it makes it more of a pink and just adds a cool extra dimension to your background. All right, so the last touch is to add salt, which sounds weird, but sprinkling salt on your watercolor gives a really cool effect. So whatever kind of salt you might have at home, just regular table salt, some sea salt, any other type of salt that you might have, take a small amount in your hand and sprinkle it over the background. I'm going to keep it mostly on the background because I want my parrot to stand out from the background, right? So I'm adding this salt to the background to give it an extra texture and just give it one more thing that makes it stand out from our bird. And you can see how the salt immediately soaks up that paint and gives it a cool, what would you call that? crystallized texture. That's the word. All right, and there we go. Now you let your paint dry and brush the salt off in a little bit, and you've got yourself a painting. Thanks for watching.